Hi guys, we're here again, and today we're going to be talking about the villains of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. Can't talk about the villains without talking about the head honcho herself, Rita Repulsa, the evil sorceress, space witch, what have you.
Merged out of a dumpster.
Yeah, Rita came out of a dumpster with a headache, and the headache never left. Her merry little band consisted of her second in command, Goldar, who was very cool. They had made several jokes, big monkey, baboon.
He didn't always have wings.
No, well, you know what? They get into that. He originally had wings, and gold armor, giant, muscular, had wings, but then apparently Rita took him away when he didn't defeat the Rangers. And, but yeah, didn't have wings. Then there is Squat and Babu, who are the comic relief monsters.
Just Gruntworks.
Yeah, Gruntworks. They're there to get beat. Rita beats them when she has a headache. They mess around, have some good schemes.
If anything needs stolen real quick, they'll send them down to take something or put something someplace, but they don't put too much stock in them.
Pretty much, they're just inconvenience the Rangers and for Rita to beat up on. Probably your favorite, Finster.
Finster, absolutely love Finster. He made a lot of the monsters in this one, and he would do it out of like a putty, like a clay putty. That's of course the putties in this are created by him. He would mold them,
Had his giant, the Monster-matic machine.
Yeah. He has the patent on the Monster-matic.
Yep.
I mean, Edison doesn't have that.
No.
So
the funny thing was, and this is in Finster's credit, he did several other things. He made potions. He made spells. He did all kinds of inventing. But I mean, he made the monsters. He sculpted them by hand, sent them into the Monster-matic, and they outshot a monster of the week. Very cool. He also made the Putty Patrol, which were the season 1 grunt underling foot soldiers, henchmen, which Goldar was the captain of. He led the putties. We all remember the noise the putties made. Very annoying, but very cool. Yeah. And last but not least of the core team was Scorpina. She was very, it was cool because something I liked about Scorpina, she looked human, but when she grew in size, she became really grotesque, like scorpion mouth, and I loved it. I like scorpions. I think they're pretty cool. And she had a floating stinger that came out the back of her head. She had a giant boomerang. I love giant boomerangs as weapons. I think, and it was a boomerang blade. So
her and Goldar didn't get along.
No, actually they did. That's the thing. That was the subtle. In the Japanese footage for Super Sentai, they were actually married.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they never really dug into that. There was a lot of times where she turned to him excited and grab him on the chest and shoulders like she was about ready to hug him. But they cut it just because of story-wise timing and she kind of fell to the wayside. They used her for a while. I loved her debut. It was weird because Rita was like, I'm gonna call on my old friend Scorpina, and they looked into her her telescope that she viewed down onto the earth at, and there was a giant boulder rolling through the jungle, and it abruptly stopped, and there were scorpions crawling all over it, and then poof, turned into Scorpina. I was like, what is going on here? I always thought that was really cool. And then, just like that, she was out of there. She came back a little bit later on, but for just a little bit. I think she was underrated. Very cool. And she was tough. She was one you didn't mess around with.
Definitely a nice touch. Definitely loved the uniform, the whole thing, the motif of a scorpion. Scorpions are often considered evil little creatures or whatever.
Pests.
or dangerous.
Yeah.
So she was definitely dangerous. It was definitely a good character. It was very, very cool, and I really liked her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, just moving on, because we don't want to spend too much time on this because there's a Monster of the Week. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just to jump into a few of the most memorable monsters, there's King Sphinx, there's Pudgy Pig, there's the
Eye Guy,
the Oysterizer, the Ectocardiatron, which I love that episode. Maybe they aren't as memorable. But you know, what was your favorite from it?
My favorite is the Goo Fish from the episode Something Fishy.
That was a fun one.
The episode was about Billy. He had a fear of fish, whatever that fear of fish would be called. He had it, and of course they saw weakness in him, so they decided, let's take advantage of it. And Goldar actually got the Goo Fish, and he was this big gross fish that, of course, his name's the Goo Fish, so he shoots goo. So one of his main powers was just shooting this goo all over the Rangers.
Like acid.
Yeah, it just shot all over the Rangers. It was a big mess. Of course, you know, they were able to... The other thing the Goo Fish had, other than that, he had this big, like, pike, and it kind of looked like it's at the top. There's a swordfish at the bottom. There's a tail fin, so he had that as well. And when he grew big, he actually was still shooting goo, and they shoot goo all over the Zord, but he's eventually defeated by the Megazord.
Yeah.
Dino Megazord.
That was a very cool one. That was a reoccurring theme with, like we've already talked about in the first video with this. Rita liked to exploit people's fears and their phobias and things like that to just, you know, add that you're not just fighting someone, you're fighting someone that you have a weakness to right off the bat.
Yeah, and Rita, you know, I think this is something with Rita. Her telescope had to be magic. She was always watching.
Always watching.
So your enemy, I mean, the Rangers in this one were always at odds because the enemy kind of always had a leg up. Of course, it never helped the enemy, apparently, but because they always beat her. But, you know, she was always watching and always exploiting the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My favorite monster from season 1, you know what, it's fun to say it, but I don't say after that it goes downhill. But it was from the very second episode of Power Rangers. It was called High Five. Because in the first episode, the Rangers fought Goldar. But in the second episode, they created... His name was Bones, and he was a skeleton. And skeleton with a top hat and a cape. That is cool. And the Rangers had to fight him at a carnival that they didn't really explain, and it was very creepy. And what he did was he took his hat and his skull off and tossed it, and it opened a portal to a time warp dimension. Maybe the same time warp dimension that Zordon's in. Who knows? Speculation. And in there, in the time warp dimension, the Rangers had to fight his skeleton warriors. So it was just bringing in another set of foot soldiers like the Putties, but I thought they were cooler. I kind of wish that they would have stuck around more. I think Bones could have been an awesome general.
He looked more like a general than the bad guy in the Monster of the Week.
And he just had like a regular sword. It's pretty fresh, like kind of a rapier kind of sword, I would say. Not too thick, but that was the big thing. He would throw his hat and it would distort time, and the Rangers would get all like woozy and everything. And the way they beat him was the Blue Ranger, Billy, jumped up, caught the head in midair, wrapped the cape around it, tossed it to Trini, the Yellow Ranger, and she threw it down a pit, and it exploded. And that was basically it. In the time dimension, Squat and Babu were planting bombs, but also at the same time, Rita had sent down another monster that just reached into the dimension and ripped Jason out. Jason called on the T-Rex and fought it, and the bomb blew the other Rangers out of the dimension. I don't understand how that works, but whatever. It was pretty cool. But yeah, so that was Bones. Those were my favorite monsters. The way that Rita made, of course the monsters have to get big and fight the Megazords, or there's no reason to call them the Megazords. In this season, Rita would cast a spell and say, "Magic wand, make my monsters grow." And she would throw it from her moon palace, the balcony. She'd chuck her staff down, all the way down to Earth. One heck of an arm she's got. And maybe it's gravity, who knows. And it would impact in the dirt, and the spell would take effect, and it would grow the monster. Even if the monster had been killed already by the Rangers, bring it back to life and make it huge.
Some sort of resurrection powers in her staff as well.
I always thought it was really cool. It got kind of annoying after a while, but it was pretty cool.
It's a cool way to make your monsters grow. I'll tell you.
I mean, we had no experience with anything else, so
not at the time.
Yeah,
but pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, but
looking back, still cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. You have anything else you want to say? Like wrapping up the whole series. That's
season 1.
Season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We'll be moving on to season 2 here pretty soon. We might take a different fork in the road and talk about something else for a while, but stay with us here in the Zord Bay. Thanks. Have a good day.